college. And at that time I was doing a global affairs major, so something more in like, so just like something that was, I felt like a safer career, something that I could go into. And then I took that class and like I really liked it and enjoyed it, but I didn't want to completely change my major, so I ended up double majoring. So I did a graphic design major at that time, and really kind of focused on that. And I think it was through school that I started learning more about careers. I got more connections, started talking to people in the field, and then right out of school I got my first internship actually right here at Vox. So that kind of led to where I am today. Like I stayed as an intern, worked as an intern for about a year or two, and then got hired full time. So I guess like, you know, with family, even though my family was supportive, it definitely was something that I had to like still fight through a little bit, you know, just to kind of make them understand like what it was to even like work in tech or have a career that was more creative or work in design. So I had to kind of like fight through a lot of that, like a lot of explaining, a lot of understanding. Even my extended family, like they wouldn't really understand it, and you know, people just like talk or people don't really get things. So it was mostly like, I guess a lot of the barriers was just me always feeling to have to like explain myself, or just kind of help them understand like what it was that I was going through. One thing like I've always liked about here is like how inclusive they've been. You know, even ever since like I started, like for example, one thing that they would always do here is they would have happy hours. So every Thursday they would have happy hours and in the office, and I would go to like some of them, especially in the beginning, because it was like I was new and like I wanted to talk to people, but there was always like that barrier because I don't drink. So that was always like a little weird for me. And then I remember like I talked about it with a few people once, and then you know, they kind of heard me out, and then since then they started to include like non-alcoholic drinks, and it was a very small thing, but it did make me feel more welcome. So I think one thing that workplaces can do is just kind of hear their employees out a bit, you know, kind of talk about like what it is that they can do to like create a more inclusive environment, whether it's like, you know, having like non-alcoholic drinks, or during, you know, or someone's fasting, like allowing them to work from home, or if they need to take a holiday or need to take time off, just allowing them to have that space that they need. I would define it as just being open-minded and understanding that not everyone is like you. So just understanding that not everyone comes from like the same mentality as you, not everyone grew up the same way. Also people work in like their own paces and like their own styles, so just being open to like, you know, what it is that makes somebody unique and who they are, and how you can almost use that as like an advantage, like kind of choosing that so like you yourself can learn a lot more about kind of how people are, how people work, and using that to kind of fuel your work. I've had a lot of different types of role models for different things, you know, even from like just bigger, like higher people, like everyone from like Hillary Clinton to like people at like my workplace, like designers I've worked with, managers and things like that. I feel like I personally like to have had like a lot of different types of role models. I feel like it's good because everyone has different strengths, like not everyone's perfect, not everyone thinks the same way. So just kind of looking to different people for different types of things is something that I've always done. I would say the most important thing, and I know this can sound really cliche, but it's just to be yourself and to be as authentic as you can. I think especially now, in a time when like there is a lot going on, being who you are, sticking true to like what it is that makes you unique can always come to your advantage. You know, and also like when you're looking for jobs or you're looking for opportunities, don't be afraid to really be a little bit picky, or to ask companies like, you know, how they view things, like how they view inclusivity or how they include diversity, because that's something that is really going to affect you throughout your career. Like if you're at a workplace that doesn't value these things, it can become toxic to you. It can really bog down in a lot of what you do for work. So, you know, that's something that you should definitely always ask for. Definitely kind of like talk to other employees, see how that is. I feel like there's a lot of things that have made me proud. I think So one thing that I always like to do, and I did a lot of it when I first started here, was working on events. So besides just like everyday work, and something that I started like when I was a college kid, just like trying to hold different events for the community and trying to get people together. So one thing that I started with a couple other classmates in college was an event called Pixel Punch, and be able to showcase their talents and just like bring a lot of people together from the community. So we created this event where it was a competition where we got 5 students who would just get like a bunch of time challenges, and we were able to like battle it out. And everything was live, so you could see like students designing as they were designing, and then from there we picked a winner. And the whole purpose wasn't like to win, it was just to like get people together and to see people design and kind of have a fun event where we could just like showcase the stuff that we love. I think the biggest thing is just being supportive and just being there, and also knowing that you don't always have to like get in the way. Like sometimes it's just stepping back and allowing a woman to do what she wants, like whether it's working, giving her that space, giving her that opportunity to kind of go out there and do what she wants. And I also think the thing about Muslim men is that they have a lot of influence when it comes to like their peers and their families and the people who are around them. So I think if they're influenced by Muslim women in a positive way and they're able to kind of spread that out, that can have like a larger effect on like other people. So just like being able also to understand like why Muslim women are doing the things that they do, because I think Muslim men are and like not all, but like most of, like from what I've seen, are like they all kind of grew up in very similar ways, or maybe like their father worked and their mother was a primary caretaker. So growing up, they kind of have these like ingrained expectations that are built into them that even if they like try to fight that as they get older, it still kind of like stays with them in some way. So I think just like hearing us out and like talking about our concerns, like what it is that matters to us, I think can always help and can kind of give them a better understanding. So yeah, I think it's just like a matter of being there, being supportive, allowing space when there is space, and also just being an advocate. I've definitely seen that, even just like from a personal example, and I think part of it maybe comes from like a personality thing. Growing up, I was very quiet, very reserved, but I think I was also raised in that way, like raised in a way to be very respectful of people and like not to talk back and all these things, which I still like hold true to myself. Like I think it's important to like have these values, but I found that in some ways like that also affected me work-wise, like when it came to like standing up for like my rights in the workplace, or even trying to like ask for something like a raise. Like that was something that was always a bit harder for me, just because I wouldn't really know how to like speak up for myself in that way. I think I kind of lacked that confidence, and that was something that I didn't really get from my household. I had to find that from like outside of home. So like whether it was like my peers or my mentors or people in the workplace, I kind of had to go to them for advice. So that's definitely something that like I've been affected by, and something I had to really learn to push through.